Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Here are the headlines we are tracking this evening. Aditya Birla Group's US subsidiary Novelis files for an IPO on Wall Street, hopes to raise nearly $1 billion. Values Novelis at $12.6 billion. 4,100 crore rupee worth of block deals closed on Dalal Street today. Promoters and foreign investors in a slew of companies, including Timken India, PB Fintech, cash in on the recent market rally. Volatility index surges to a two-year high on Dalal Street. A last-hour sell-off pushes sensex and nifty to close in the red. Mid-cap see sharper cuts. RBI to make a fourth attempt to infuse liquidity in the market through a bond buyback, says will purchase 40,000 crore rupees worth of government securities on the 30th of May. Bonds hold steady. LIC eyes a foray into the health insurance sector. Chairperson says this will be a natural choice once composite licenses are approved. Adds that the insurance giant will explore acquisitions as well. Reliance Industries strikes a one-year deal with Russia's Rosneft to buy 3 million barrels of oil in a month. Reliance will make the payment in rubles, according to a Reuters report. Adani Enterprises gets board approval to raise 16,000 crore rupees. A Financial Times report says Adani is planning to foray into digital payments and e-commerce. Infrastructure funds provide a 74% return to investors in the last 1 year, but experts remain cautious due to the cyclical nature, regulatory risks and potential project delays. The National Investigation Agency conducts raids in 15 locations in connection with a fake job scam. 5 people are arrested for their alleged involvement in human trafficking of Indians to countries like Cambodia and Laos. Victims say they were forced to carry out cyber fraud at gunpoint. Israeli tanks roll into the city of Rafah in Gaza despite international condemnation of the attack on a designated safe zone, killing 45 people yesterday. Spain, Norway and Ireland formally recognized the Palestinian state, widening the European Union's rift with Israel. Prime Minister Modi and TMC Supremo Mamata Banerjee hold multiple rallies in and around Kolkata ahead of the last phase of polling. 9 seats in West Bengal go to polls on the 1st of June. The Trinamool had won all of these 9 seats in 2019. First up, the day's trading action. Nifty and Sensex end 0.25% in the red amid high volatility. Nifty failed to hold the 22,900 mark, slipping over 100 points from highs. Mid-caps underperformed the blue chips. That index closed nearly 1% lower. In fact, the volatility index surged to a 2-year high. From stock markets to the money market now. Rupee and bonds largely remain steady. This after the Reserve Bank announced a 40,000 crore rupee buyback of government securities. The last 3 buyback auctions by the RBI saw a tepid response. So what exactly is a bond buyback and how can it boost liquidity in the system? Ritu Singh is here to explain.
The RBI has announced a fourth buyback of 40,000 crore worth of government bonds despite the muted, rather unenthusiastic response on the last 3 buybacks attempted this month. Now, the securities offered for buyback are 4 government bonds with maturity dates in the second half of 2024. Now, why is the government doing this? Well, the government is sitting on substantial cash balances with spending muted because of elections on one hand and, of course, that huge dividend from RBI also coming in. So the government wants to use these cash balances to repay a portion of its outstanding borrowings prematurely and ease the pressure of future repayments. Now, in an ideal situation, buybacks can also bring down the government's interest cost because new demand should push up the bond prices and hence lower the yields because of the inverse relationship between prices and yields. Now, since banks are the largest holders of government bonds, buyback operations like this can also help infuse liquidity, which has been in deficit in the system. So it sounds like a win-win situation, but in the last 3 auctions, of the total 1.6 lakh crore of bonds offered for buybacks, RBI accepted bids worth only 18,000 crore rupees, which is barely 11%, which brings us to the question about why the poor response. Well, in the past 3 auctions, banks of course want to sell these bonds at higher prices or lower yields for a profit, and understandably so. But for RBI, this creates a problem, because if it accepts bids at these higher prices and lower yields, it is signaling that RBI is comfortable with lower yields or lower rates, which represent easier financial conditions. And with inflation running at more than 4%, RBI does not want the markets to start pricing in rate cuts yet, because it is not comfortable with yields front-running monetary policy actions. So an interesting space to watch out for, and after 3 muted auctions, it will be very surprising if the 4th one is any different.
And Reliance Industries has reportedly signed a 1-year deal with Russia's Rosneft to buy at least 3 million barrels of oil a month in rubles. As per a report by Reuters, Reliance will buy 2 cargoes of 1 million barrels of Urals crude, with an option to buy 4 more each month at a discount to the Middle East Dubai benchmark. The Indian refiner will also purchase 1 to 2 cargoes a month of low sulfur crude. As per Reuters, the deal came into effect on the 1st of April. This comes at a time when Russian President Vladimir Putin has been pushing for an alternate to the Western financial system to protect trade and sanctions from the US and Europe. The board of Adani Enterprises has given the green signal to raise 16,000 crore rupees via a QIP. This comes only a day after Adani Group's power arm, Adani Energy, said that its board-approved fundraising of 12,500 crore rupees. Meanwhile, reports are suggesting that the group is planning to enter India's digital payments and e-commerce spaces. According to a report by Financial Times, Adani Group is considering applying for a license to operate on India's public digital payments network and is in discussions with banks to finalize plans for a co-branded credit card. Aditya Birla Group subsidiary Novelis has filed its IPO papers in the US. The company is targeting a valuation of $12.6 billion. Novelis will be offering 45 million shares and aims to raise $945 million from its public issue. Nisha Podar is here with all the details.
That's right. In what could be one of the largest first US listings by an India-owned company, well, Aditya Birla Group's Hindalco flagship company, Hindalco's wholly owned subsidiary, Novelis, has kick-started its IPO process with investor roadshows for an NYSE listing. Now, in terms of the filing, first, a few important numbers. $12.6 billion could be the value of Novelis on the upper end of the price band for this particular IPO. Now, Hindalco owns Novelis 100%. It's a wholly owned subsidiary, and the entire IPO proceed is going to be about $1 billion, which will be totally fundraised by Hindalco, since the whole IPO is an OFS. Looking at some of the numbers, $18 to $21 per share is the kind of price band that Novelis IPO has stipulated, which means around $810 to $945 million of IPO issue, which also means that with the green shoe option, it could be about $1 billion. Now, Hindalco, which holds 100% stake in Novelis, would hold close to about 92% stake after the IPO process is over. Now, importance of this particular IPO, first of all, the monetization by India-listed Hindalco, which could be close to $1 billion. Second, in terms of the valuation impact, remember, Hindalco is trading at about $18 billion, and this particular IPO is going to be around $20.5 billion. And that means 2/3 of the IPO valuation, or the 2/3 of the valuation of Hindalco as per SOTP estimates, is ascribed to Novelis, and that particular valuation will also impact Hindalco's valuation. And third, the big ability of Hindalco to raise more funds with this particular IPO, and also furthering its capex plans and funding it.
All right. Thank you very much, Nisha, for getting us that very important story. Moving on, LIC chairperson Siddharth Mohanty has said that the company's foray into the health insurance sector will be a natural choice once its composite license is approved. He was speaking to my colleague Yash Jain a day after the life insurer reported a steady set of numbers for the 4th quarter. Mohanty said that they were open to exploring acquisitions to build a health insurance business.
This composite license comes, LIC natural choice will be to come into health space, because we cannot do all other general insurance like property, fire, all those things. We are not expert. No? Because health, we have some experience in health. We are selling health fixed benefit products. We have some products, fixed benefit, not indemnity product, unlike Mediclaim. So we have some experience, some expertise. So we are exploring both sides, organic as well as inorganic.
Baiju Ravindran gets a temporary respite. The Karnataka High Court has extended interim protection for Baijus against decisions from the February 23rd investor meet. This shields the founders from potential ouster and management changes. The case is adjourned until the 24th of June. A flurry of block deals worth over 4,100 crore rupees took place on Dalal Street today. Inox Wind, PB Fintech, Timken India and Concord Biotech see large block deals. This is promoters and foreign investors cash in on high valuations. Vivek Iyer is here with all of the details.
Well, earnings season is coming to a close and it's been a revival as far as the number of block deals that we are seeing. A lot of block deals happened in today's trading session. 4 large block deals, something that CNBC-TV18 highlighted even before they actually happened. Now, the first block deal that we're talking about is PB Fintech. We understand that today Tencent Cloud Europe sold close to 1.2% stake in the company. Remember, they held a little over 6.2% stake. So after today's block deal, they continue to hold around 5% stake. And this is something that the street is looking at as an overhang. The stock was under pressure throughout the trading session. The second stock on the radar was Timken India. Now remember, as far as Timken India is concerned, June 2023, the parent Timken Singapore sold 10% of the total equity to bring down their holding to 57.7%. Today, there was another large block deal where once again Timken Singapore sold almost 6.6% equity, bringing down their shareholding to a little over 51%. After today's block deal, Timken Singapore will continue to remain the simple majority shareholder in Timken, and it's believed that this removes a major overhang and as it is apparent that they would not be looking to further pare their stake lower. On the back of that, post the block deal, the stock recovered quite sharply and ended the day with sharp gains. We're also looking at Concord Biotech. We told you about this one as well. Ontario Inc. was the seller in this particular block deal. The company held, after today's block deal, almost 2% stake in the company. So once again, that also acts as an overhang. And the last stock on the radar was Inox Wind. This particular block deal, the promoter entity actually exited close to 5% stake, a little over 900 crores worth of equity changed hands. Now, what actually happened in terms of Inox Wind was the fact that Inox Wind recently declared a 3:1 bonus. That is 3 bonus shares for every share held in the company. Investors still haven't got the shares credited into their account, so that caused a bit of a technical confusion in the morning. However, what we understand from our sources is that the promoter entity was the seller in today's block deal of a little over 900 crore. The stock saw quite a bit of selling pressure throughout the trading session.
Apple's iPhone sales in China witnessed a rebound after shipments rose 52% in April. This comes after iPhone sales dropped drastically in January and February this year. Apple and its Chinese resellers have been reducing prices since the start of 2024. Apple has been seeing double-digit decline in sales after losing premium market share to Huawei. The Indian IT industry is gripped by silent layoffs, where companies are asking employees to resign or are not renewing their contracts. According to data shared by All India IT and ITE's Employees Union, around 20,000 techies lost their jobs in silent layoffs in 2023. According to another union, Nascent Information Technology Employees Senate, about 2,000 to 3,000 professionals lost their jobs in 2024 alone. Silent layoffs are seen as a strategy to let go of employees gradually and not together to avoid garnering attention. Shifting focus now to infrastructure funds, which have delivered bumper returns for investors in the last 1 year. But experts in the mutual fund industry remain very cautious. Shivani Bazars gets us trends when it comes to these infrastructure funds, and what are some of the things that you need to be cautious of. Here's her report.
Well, with 74% average returns in the last 1 year, infrastructure funds are among the toppers on the mutual fund returns charts. According to data from Morningstar India, the inflows in the first 4 months of 2024 into the category have surpassed the inflows into the category in the entire years of 2022 and 2023. The total inflows charted by the category in calendar year 2022 stood at rupees 1160 crores, and in calendar year 2023, the inflows stood at 2359 crore rupees. Now, in comparison, the category has already seen inflows worth 3,376 crores in the first 4 months of 2024. This means that the inflows have tripled since 2022. The inflows are a direct result of the positive outlook of the sector and also the returns by these schemes. Some of these infrastructure funds are offering 80 to 90% returns in 1 year, like the Bandhan Infrastructure Fund or the DSP Tiger Fund or the Quant Infrastructure Fund. One of the big reasons for the eye-popping returns by these funds is government's push on infrastructure spending in the last 3 years. A record high budgeted spend of over 11 lakh crore has been carved out for FY25 as well. Investors naturally hope to ride the infra push by the government and make big gains through infrastructure funds. However, experts warn that investors should enter with full understanding of the cyclical nature and the risks involved in these funds, including regulatory changes, project delays, etc. Experts suggest that retail investors should not take more than 5% of exposure in their portfolio and approach these funds with caution.
In international news now, Israeli tanks enter the city of Rafah in Gaza despite international condemnation of the attack. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu admitted that something went tragically wrong with the strike that reportedly killed over 45 civilians. As per UN data, around 1 million people have fled Rafah in the past 3 weeks. Meanwhile, Spain, Norway and Ireland have formally recognized the Palestinian state, further widening the European Union's rift with Israel. And 18 people were killed in a Russian missile strike that targeted a large store in Kharkiv over the weekend. Separately, 3 people were killed and 6 injured after Russia attacked southern region of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelensky said Russian forces had dropped about 3,200 guided aerial bombs on Ukraine this month and that Kyiv did not have enough air defense missiles to stop attacks on such a scale. Further, Ukraine has secured $1 billion in military aid, each from Belgium and Spain. The Papua New Guinea government has called for assistance after a devastating landslide hit the country. The authorities fear at least 2,000 people are trapped under the debris and has affected more than 7,000 people. The United Nations has warned of a second landslide and a massive disease outbreak in the country. Meanwhile, India has announced an immediate relief assistance worth $1 million. Triggered by Cyclone Remal, at least 15 people have died in multiple landslides in Mizoram, including 12 in a stone quarry in Aizawl. Search operations are underway to rescue people trapped under the debris. Officials have said that several highways and roads have been blocked due to landslides. Chief Minister Laduoma chaired an emergency meeting to take stock of the situation. The Indian Met Department has predicted above normal monsoon this year, but there are concerns around the distribution of rainfall. The Met predicts below normal monsoon in the northeast and a normal monsoon for northwestern parts of India. Manisha Gupta is standing by with a deep dive on the monsoon forecast.
Well, yes, India's weather department is predicting an above normal monsoon, but there are some concerns around distribution of the rainfall. Well, the Met Department is expecting the long period average at 106%, which is a bit more optimistic than 102% prediction from the private weather forecaster, which is SkyMed. This 106% prediction is the best India has seen since the pandemic. For 2022, the Met Department had predicted rainfall to be around the same mark, while it was below 100 in 2021 and in 2023 as well. And as you mentioned, the distribution of the rainfall is a key concern. Well, the central and southern peninsula is expected to get above normal rainfall, but the northwest is likely to get normal rainfall and the northeast is likely to get below normal rainfall. Here is how the probability chart also looks. It is like a normal rainfall of around 32%, above normal as well at around 30% as well, excess at around 29%. So there is a very little probability of a below normal or a deficient monsoon. A normal monsoon is extremely crucial for several crops in India, especially in Kharif, which is rice, cotton, pulses, maize, millets, among many others. The government has imposed export curbs on many of these crops. Sufficient rainfall could lead to a bumper yield, and this could help lift many of these export restrictions.
Coming up on India Business Hour, the centre's Agniveer scheme is a political hot potato in Bihar. Many army aspirants slam the scheme. The RJD promises a rollback if the opposition comes to power. BJP says it is open to a review. And you can also catch all CNBC-TV18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. The National Investigation Agency has arrested. Yes, this is an important story for all our viewers and you can watch it across platforms. Yes, the NIA has arrested 5 people for their alleged involvement in international human trafficking and cybercrime fraud. The NIA said that the accused were part of an organized trafficking syndicate. We have learnt that the victims were forced to carry out credit card frauds, honey trap customers and make investments in cryptocurrencies using fake documents. Yesterday, we brought you an exclusive report on how youngsters from India were being lured to Cambodia on the promise of a well-paying job and forced to carry out cyber crimes and the physical torture they endured. So far, the government has rescued over 700 Indians from Cambodia and Laos in the last few days. Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah has said that 27 lakh complaints of cyber frauds have been registered in 1 year. In more national news, Prime Minister Modi held a roadshow in Kolkata ahead of the last phase of elections in West Bengal. 9 seats in West Bengal go to polls on the 1st of June. Prime Minister Modi said that people of Bengal know how important it is to have a strong government at the centre. TMC Supremo and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee campaigned in Kolkata as well. In 2019, the TMC had won all the 9 seats. This includes the crucial Jadavpur seat and the Diamond Harbour seat where Abhishek Banerjee is the sitting MP. To Bihar now, where the centre launched the Agniveer scheme in June 2022. It changed the old recruitment system of the armed forces. The scheme came with a number of restrictions, from the length of service to the benefit on offer. In our ongoing election series, CNBC-TV18 Sante Gora reports that the scheme has not gone down well with many sections of people in Bihar. And she also found out that this could actually change the way they vote in the polls.
आजीवन बीजेपी को वोट नहीं डालूंगा, क्योंकि मेरा सपना था इंडियन आर्मी और मेरे इंडियन आर्मी के सपना को तोड़ दिया बीजेपी सरकार ने।
आज मोदी जी हमारे यहाँ आकर रोड शो कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उनके मुंह से एक वर्ड आप रोजगार का नहीं सुन सकते।
हम लोग क्या करें? हम लोग बिहार में ना इंडस्ट्री है।
Enlistment in the armed forces has been a big career choice for many youth in India, especially in the hinterland. Bihar's Ara city, which lies 50 kilometers from Patna, is a hub for youngsters preparing for the competitive exams. But these students took to the streets in protest when in June 2022, the government launched the Agniveer scheme. Students like 23-year-old Baiju Singh, who hails from Kamarion village, 30 kilometers from Ara, felt betrayed. Singh, for instance, moved to Ara 5 years ago to start preparing for the armed forces exam, and he says the scheme shattered his dreams.
लास्ट मेडिकल में 31 दिसंबर 2021 को फिट हो गया आर्टिलरी सेंटर नासिक में, और फिट होने के बाद जैसे ही 2-3 महीना हुआ, 14 जून 2022 आज भी डेट याद है, और ये डेट मैं पूरे जीवन में कभी भूल नहीं सकता हूं, क्योंकि ये डेट हम लोग की जिंदगी बर्बाद करने वाला डेट था। ये जो बीजेपी सरकार है, ये हम लोग की जिंदगी बर्बाद करके खा गई, और आज बीजेपी सरकार के नाकामी की वजह से हम लोग यहाँ पे बैठे हुए हैं और इस बेरोजगारी के रोटी दर रहे हैं।
The new scheme changes the way armed forces recruitment is carried out. For one, it narrows the eligibility age to between 17.5 and 21 years. Second, it says that after serving for 4 years, 75% of them will be relieved of duty. Only 25% can become career military. In addition, those who are relieved will not be eligible for pensions or any other benefits available to regular armed force personnel. Youngsters say the effort required to clear the examinations is not worth the uncertainty.
2-3 महीना तैयारी किया। मेरे पापा ने दूसरे से पैसा लेकर कोचिंग फी में जमा किए थे, और जैसे ही मैंने 2-4 मंथ तैयारी की, तब तक अग्निवीर में एक भी एग्जाम नहीं दे पाया। फिर अग्निवीर एक स्कीम आ गया, फिर उसके बाद मेरा सपना टूट गया एयरफोर्स में जाने का।
अमृतपाल एक जवान था, पंजाब में शायद शहीद हुआ था, उसको शहीद का दर्जा तक नहीं मिला, यहाँ तक कि प्राइवेट एम्बुलेंस से भेजा गया था। आप बताइए कि अगर कोई बंदा अगर चला भी जाता है तो उसको सम्मान, पैसा तो मिल नहीं रहा है, लेकिन सम्मान भी नहीं मिल रहा है, तो समाज में कौन सा मतलब मुंह लेकर जाएगा? सब सब लोग बोलते हैं अग्निवीर है, कोई शादी नहीं कर रहा है उससे, कोई लड़की नहीं देगा अग्निवीर वालों को, तो फिर उससे क्या फायदा होगा बताइए आप ही।
हमारे गांव में 100 लड़का पहले दौड़ता था, गरीबों का लड़का। आज देख लीजिए, आज कोई नहीं दौड़ रहा है, फील्ड में नहीं जा रहा है, तो सोच रहा है क्या करेंगे, 4 साल में जाएंगे, वो छुट्टी भी नहीं है।
Some disagree, saying the scheme will strengthen the armed forces.
सबको रोजगार मिलेगा, सब लोग वेल ट्रेंड होंगे और 4 साल के बाद आने के बाद भी उनको बहुत सारी चीजों में ये फायदा मिलेगा।
The disquiet among the youth, however, has been picked up as an election talking point, with various opposition leaders, including Rahul Gandhi, promising that the scheme will be discarded if they come to power.
इसलिए अग्निवीर योजना को हम रद्द करने जा रहे हैं, खत्म करने जा रहे हैं।
Will you guys come up with a new recruitment system for the forces or bring the old one back?
The old one, the way it used to run.
The BJP is also treading with caution, saying it is open to reviewing the scheme.
राजनाथ जी ने बहुत स्पष्ट कर दिया कि इस पर यदि पुनर्विचार की जरूरत होगी तो होगा, इसमें कौन बड़ा बात है।
But some experts we spoke to say that for the youth of Bihar, these assurances may be too little, too late, especially for those who have crossed the age of eligibility in the interim.
Unemployment is a problem in Bihar. The slow offtake of industrialization has meant that employment opportunities in the private sector have become difficult to come by, and competition for the openings is stiff. So for years, many youth in the region has looked to a career in the armed forces. However, with Agniveer scheme curtailing benefits and restricting service timeline, youth preparing to enlist have been thrown a curveball. Experts believe that frustration, disappointment and anger over the lack of jobs could become a major issue in these elections. In Ara, with camera person Swapnil Bandekar, this is Santya for CNBC-TV18.
And Sante Goria will continue getting you stories from Bihar ahead of the final phase of this election this week. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC-TV18.